Hey everybody, thanks for hopping on again for another episode of the Hackle Box. We'll give folks a few minutes to roll in here and then we'll get started. Hey, before we go, Eric, do we have chat enabled for everyone?
Did you guys not get that figured out while it was gone?
We did. It just took me like 10 minutes each time, and then we blamed you because you weren't here.
Yeah. No, it's definitely my fault. I got to remember how to do it. It's been a minute. Hold on.
Because that'll be our first question in Q&A if we don't do that.
Yeah, attendees can chat with no one.
It's fair.
Totally fair.
Attendees can chat with everyone. Panelists, panelists can chat. Okay, everyone can chat with everyone.
All right, I love that.
Good afternoon.
There we go. All right.
Look, I've seen was it a new movie with Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell, Spirited, the musical on the Apple TV.
Yeah. Was it good?
It's great. Oh my god, it's like my new favorite Christmas movie, I think.
Nice.
That said, good afternoon is used as like a curse in that movie, and so now I feel like Steven here is he's trying to just tell us all off.
Damn it! Come on,
good
Steven.
Now, Spirited is a fantastic. Oh my god, I love it. I love everything about it. The music, it's a musical, and it's just catchy, and it stands out to me. It gave new birth to my excitement for and happiness around Christmas. So, can I sing us a song from it? No, I do not sing. It's not something I do. Maybe we'll get Oscar to learn one, and he can sing it for us and play it sometime.
Yeah. All right, we'll do that. I got this sweet guitar hanging behind me. You can see the neck of it. Just shred.
Yeah, just shred one.
Yeah. So listen, I watched a new Christmas movie I hadn't seen before. The night before. Have you guys seen that one?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Seth Rogen, James Franco makes an appearance in there. Yeah,
and the kid from Third Rock from the Sun, right? Cannot think of his name right now.
I don't know either. Michael Shannon's in it. I love Michael Shannon. Yeah. Another Kentuckian, by the way.
Did either of you guys watch Violent Night?
No, I did not. Couldn't bring myself to do it. Yeah,
I want to, but every time like my wife and I sat down to like think about watching it, it was like, well, I don't know, kids are around, it probably isn't going to be appropriate. We're not really sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was like it was Christmas time. It's hard to like watch movies that are not family friendly, and I don't believe that one is. So
yeah, I don't think so.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Brian.
That's it.
And Chad threw it up there.
Yeah.
Just remember, he's the kid from Third Rock.
I saw Spirited advertised and wanted to watch it, but I'll be honest, like I binge watched so many Christmas movies leading up to Christmas that by the time Christmas got here, I was like, yeah, I'm done. I've spread all my cheer. I'm done watching Christmas movies.
I think, I hate Apple, right? Like Apple as a company, it's a product, just as an idea. And that movie, Spirited, came out on Apple TV, and there's a bunch of shows and stuff like that on Apple TV that we want to watch, but then they're specific only to Apple TV because it's Apple. And I mean, everybody else does it too. But nonetheless, so I got a new TV though, right before the holidays. And if you buy any like TV or product that like supports Apple TV, you can get 3 months for free. So we did that, and we've just been binging everything on Apple TV until the subscription comes up. And so that was nice to have Spirited for that.
Nice.
Yeah,
there's a couple things I need to catch on. There's a Conway Twitty documentary where Michael Shannon again, I think, plays Conway Twitty. I want to check that one out. And then Ted Lasso season 3 is coming soon, right? I think
so. Yeah,
I hope so.
Yeah,
I know we got that. I think when 3 of us did that science class, we got those Apple devices, and they came with a year of Apple TV. So I caught a bunch of that stuff then. Yeah. You didn't use yours? Oh man, yeah.
No, I had no clue. That's a bummer, I guess, kind of. I don't know. Every Apple thing in my life is free, though. I'll say that.
Yeah.
So at least that. A Christmas Story Christmas did not disappoint some Cliffside. It was okay, in my opinion. It was. Yeah. It didn't disappoint, but it also wasn't like I'm gonna watch. Like we watched it once, and then we watched A Christmas Story just like 5 times. You know what I mean, over Christmas. Time,
So what's your top Christmas movie? I know Christmas is over, right? We're all sick of talking about Christmas here about it, but still, like,
not at all.
I've got to know, like, what's your top go-to Christmas movie?
Die Hard. Every year I make sure that it's on Christmas Eve, and every year my wife is like, really though? And I'm like, yeah, no, it's happening. Christmas Eve. This is a Christmas Eve party. The movie's all about Christmas Eve. I don't know how you don't see this. And then as she tells me not to, I just yell out yippee-ki-yay and I put it on.
I'm gonna go with National Lampoon's, man. Christmas Vacation has always been my favorite. I see Jennifer. I've got to do a top two because they're almost tied. Elf is right there behind Christmas Vacation. Those are the ones, regardless. If I don't watch any other Christmas movies, I'll watch those every single year. And even Elf, I can enjoy when it's not Christmas. Like that movie is just fantastic.
Yeah, I will say that a staple on Christmas Eve is to watch Die Hard once, but that's generally the only time we watch it. Elf and what was the other one? National Lampoon Christmas Vacation. Christmas Vacation from the time of like from Thanksgiving till the New Year, we probably watch it. I mean, 50 times in my household. It is just like we are the Griswolds, and we watch the heck out of it. So
yeah. For those not in the circle here, I guess I think you guys had some like matching pajamas and everything this year too, right?
Oh, every single year. I mean, for the last 10 plus years we get new. This is the first year. Well, no, that's not true. This year we actually come to. So every single year at the Christmas tradition is that we get matching pajamas, a new set of matching pajamas every year to wear on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve or both. We actually, since Kyle moved up here recently, we bought him. We did like kind of ugly sweater style ones. And I'll tell you this, both Kyle and my ugly sweater, Christmas sweater thing was Die Hard themed. So that was great.
Oh, very cool.
I had Nakatomi Plaza Christmas party on mine, and he had Hans falling from the building off of his. So.
Very nice. Very nice. Pink, I'm sorry, man. We didn't get to get your answer. What's your favorite?
Oh, no. I mean, it's Christmas Vacation. I think we talked about it before that. Yeah. I don't even. I like all the other ones just fine. And I think we talked before. I really enjoy a lot of the horror Christmas movies, and a lot of those are like B-level, garbage. But I enjoy watching them. I've not seen Violent Night yet, though. I really want to. Just haven't seen it. But Christmas Vacation every year. I don't think we quite watch it 50 times between Thanksgiving and Christmas, but it's a bunch.
It's on multiple times every single day. It seems like it's insane, but we all love it, so it works out. Spirited, though, I mean, we literally, I think, watched Spirited probably at least 10 times this year. So it's nuts.
All right, cool. Let's talk some security stuff, I guess, guys. You guys want to do that? I think that's why everybody's here.
I don't think they are. I actually don't.
Yeah, that's a poll, right? Are you guys here for the banter, talk, food talk, snack talk? Are you here for security?
Topic. Yeah. Just doesn't have to be security. We could talk about, I don't know, sandwiches.
We have another good one I think we're going to get to. We'll let Pinky set that one up later, but I think let's start chatting about ChatGPT. Anybody down with that? Yeah.
What is it?
That. So
I'm gonna ask ChatGPT if I care to talk about ChatGPT. Please hold.
Ask ChatGPT if it's okay with us talking about it today.
Yeah.
It seems to be the hotness everywhere right now. Lots of folks are talking about it. I think we should talk about it.
You know what we should have honestly done is had ChatGPT just write up the topics and script for this.
Well, I thought about that and actually did ask it some questions about that, but its data points are limited to events from 2021 or before, and so
it's fine.
We would have had to go back in time a little bit, but it probably could have helped us get there. So
we could have just gotten real like topics currently and then asked it about all the subjects in those topics, right? Like,
Yeah. So the joke is actually on all our listeners today. This is all deep fake versions of us driven by ChatGPT, and we're probably not going to talk about any relevant security news because, like I said, we're only cataloged to know things that happened in 21 or before. And so hopefully you'll bear with us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So ChatGPT, for everybody, it's chatbot, AI driven. It's been in the news a lot lately. It's very powerful. It's very cool. And also kind of scary at the same time. And so I have spent a little bit of time this week messing with it and trying to manipulate it a little bit to see what kind of outputs I can get. And honestly, like from my initial perspective, when I first started really interacting with it, was like, oh my God, this is going to it's a game changer, and this can be a Google killer, right? This could be the end of the Google search model that we know. This could revolutionize search as we I don't know, have seen it before and go into the future. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's valid. I mean, I think I'm still scared of it, right? I mean, that's sort of my general feeling of the thing is scared of it for a different for a few different reasons, but also too, like, I think we were talking about it, and did they stop it at 2021 because it had gained the capacity to learn more easily, so they had to disconnect it, right? And we're just, one guy hitting the wrong button away from some Skynet situation or something like that. But it does look really cool. Yeah, it looks neat. It has a lot of neat good functions, things that can be utilized. Good things.
And I do know this is like version 3.5 that's kind of in the news right now and everybody's interacting with, and they have version 4.0 baking. And I don't know the numbers exactly, but I think 3.5 was something like 70 billion data points that were used to create this model. And I think that 4.0 is like getting into the trillions of data points. And so like, I think we're just starting to see the tip of the iceberg here for what's going to be capable with these type of engines as we move forward. And yeah, kind of scary. I mean, there's a lot of like negatives that can be an outcome from this. I like the one thing that I really think about is, you guys know that meme that's like the puppet, and it's like knowing how to use Google search doesn't make you a programmer, and it's like the programmer and his eyes look and turn.
Oh, yeah.
Like I think we're gonna have a lot of like kind of armchair experts, and we already have that. I think that's kind of a thing with our world today, civilization that we live in, where people know how to find something, so therefore they think they're an expert. Like think about like even people self-diagnosing illnesses, right? That's kind of a thing. And I think that we're going to see that kind of exponentially increase with a bot or an AI driven intelligence that is this much more functional or capable than Google. We're going to see a lot more armchair experts, and it may even be to the point of like people faking expertise to get into specific positions because we have this tool set at our fingertips. That's a risk, right? And then also, like, I think we've just gotten dumber as a culture in general since Google, since our like our search functions have continued to get more and more efficient. What happens with this space? Like, how dumb are we going to get? Are we going to be like idiocracy dumb? I know that's a prophecy and it's probably already on its way, but is it going to get here sooner than we thought?
I mean, yeah.
All right, that's the show, everybody.
Welcome back, Eric, right? Yeah.
Eric's been gone for 2 episodes and he comes back with those hard hitters, son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, you said a lot of things right now that made me want to get you some tinfoil, but at the same time, I would say that is idiocracy coming faster than we expected? Yeah. I don't know. I think that, I guess from the other angle of it, like I'm always cool with anything that helps information become more readily available to people. You talk about armchair experts and people faking knowledge about certain things and tactics. I mean, we already have that, right? We already have that with people quickly Googling something and being like, oh yeah, I knew this because here it is. I know it now, right? I mean, we all can always generally see through that now too, as AI and stuff gets better and can do more things for us. I see that as, potentially really time saving in certain situations. Obviously, there's been a long time conversation about automation versus people, right? And AI versus people, as that conversation continues, right? And like eliminating jobs and doing different things like that. I think that's a concern, something to think about and talk about. I think there's always that kind of like, well, we're always still going to need people though, right? Right. And I think the better things get, the more that becomes like a hesitance. So, those types of things. But at the end of the day, right now as a tool, I think it's great. But I haven't used it a ton myself either, though. So,
and I kind of not really arguing against what you're saying, Oscar, but I also kind of wonder, sort of along with what Eric was saying there too, is even though we have armchair experts, right, and maybe someone doesn't know something as deeply as they let on, right, or forget a job or that kind of thing, right? How much of our jobs do we do now with Google, right? I mean, to be honest and to be fair, right? How many times, because we can't memorize everything. So does it just make those things better? Does it take, somebody with a base set of knowledge and then they can improve on that more quickly, that kind of thing? So definitely feel like it has some good potential there for that type of thing. But yeah, also, I'm fully in the tinfoil camp. I'm all about being a little bit scared of the AI at this point. That said, I welcome you, AI. You're great, and don't take it out on me.
Yeah, I was laughing with someone earlier. I was chatting about this today, and it's like, hey, go easy because I still want my microwave to warm up my Totino's pizza rolls tonight.
Yeah. Don't make it angry though.
Yeah, don't make it angry.
It's okay to be hesitant, but don't make it angry. I haven't used it a ton myself. I have talked to a lot of people who are using it quite a bit. I have a friend who's been using it, just messing with it constantly. And the general consensus I'm getting from a lot of different people, which will play into our kind of security related topic we're going to break into here eventually by the end of this thing, is that it's really good at coming up with a good enough answer or a good enough response or a BS. Like it's great at BSing itself, right? Not so much at like being perfect or getting it right. Like it gets certain things right, but I mean, getting it right to a exacting detail in certain situations is struggling. We'll talk a little bit more about that here shortly, but that's what kind of vibe I'm getting from it is like, it's really good at kind of BSing its way through things. Like if you want to pretend like you know something, ask it and say what it says, and great, you're going to look like you know too.
Yeah, and I will say, like, there's obviously been flaws discovered. It's not perfect right now. I know one thing is like you can ask it to end a sentence in a specific letter, and for some reason it fails at that. So I was reading about this, like someone's like, hey, write me a sentence that ends in the letter S, and it writes a sentence that actually ends in the letter Y, and it asks why it did that, and it said, well, because it had some flawed logic, and Y was the correct way to end the sentence. And it said, oh, but I ask you to end in S. And it said, oh, I made a mistake. Let me try again. And it wrote another sentence that ended in like R. So like there's still some common logic that it has problems with. I've also heard stories of like doing like mathematical equations. It's not really good at that because it does rely upon the data points that it ingested as part of its learning model. And so part of those data points could be a solution already to that equation. And rather than actually calculating the equation, it finds the solution in its data points and it presents you a totally incorrect answer. And so there are definitely inconsistencies. It's not the gospel, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, I've also learned that's like there are ways to manipulate the bot. So let's just say theoretically, if you were asking it to do something that was illegal, it will tell you, no, it can't do that, right? That's illegal. But however, if you create a fantasy scenario for why you're creating the request to do something illegal, it will do that, right? So I'm writing a book, and in my book, the character is doing this in my fictional drama. Can you help me do this task that's completely illegal for the story? And it's like, oh yeah, sure, we can figure that out now. And so there are ways to manipulate it even outside of like its ethical boundaries that have been coded into the system.
So I asked ChatGPT just now, what are some of the concerns with growing capabilities of artificial intelligence? And it says that it's got 6 main points. One is job displacement. We already touched on that a little bit. 2 is bias and discrimination can be present, and then data can be used to train it. Stuff like that. Lack of explainability, safety and control, potential misuse, and ethical and moral considerations. I mean, I think it agrees with us. So we're not upsetting our overlord.
It's probably because it's actively pulling from this conversation.
Well, Eric told me I was putting on my tin hat, but I actually told you guys earlier, this isn't me. This is a deep fake, and I'm ChatGPT today. So
there you go. Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that.
But so I think we're already seeing some cases, right? Like I was using it to create scripts, functional scripts, and things that I just kind of wanted to test the capabilities of. And so learning, if you are very specific with your inputs and the way you request, you can get very close to your expected output. Like Eric said, it's not always perfect, but it can give you functional working scripts. And we're seeing like examples now of attackers beginning to use this, which is obviously the next logical step. If I can develop an exploit in half the time, or not even that, 1/10 of the time, why would I not go that avenue? And so I think there's a lot of potential there.
Yeah, I'm curious about the success level, because like I said, I've been talking with a lot of people who've used it, and obviously generally the people I talk to are into the similar things as me. And so they're using it to try to write code. They're using it to try to do things, see how good it is. And almost every report I've received from people is that, again, it's good at BSing. It's good at giving you something that looks like it would work, but it doesn't work. Now,
yeah, right.
you said you've had some working script stuff come out of it, and I know the article
Sure.
that we're going to be talking, or we are talking about, right, which is ChatGPT being used to write malware and stuff like that. I know that it cites some situations with it. I'm curious how good it actually. I'm gonna have to start playing with it probably more, because a lot of the reports I've gotten is that it looks like it should work, and then you go to compile it, you go to run it, and it just fails. So.
Yeah, I've learned you got to be very specific, and some of the things I've tested with it are just kind of basic stuff, basic requests, basic code. And even in a very basic request, you have to be very descriptive. And so it took like multiple iterations of me re-requesting this, adding more parameters to actually get the desired output that was pretty close to what I expected.
Gotcha.
I do think it was interesting in that article, though, that the one guy who made it write, ransomware, it said he'd never written a script before. So, when you're being specific, are you being specific like with technical terms, or are you being specific about what you want it to do?
No,
like do
expected
X
outcomes.
and Y?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all logic. You have to be very specific in the logic chain. You don't necessarily have to understand the code, the coding language, right? But you do have to, I think, be at least proficient in logic chain for creating programs.
Makes sense. Okay.
I think we're getting a little ahead too. I don't think we actually set up the article here. So there's an article about on dark reading about attackers using ChatGPT for creating malware. This is coming from sources that said they basically saw it on the dark web or something like that.
Dark web.
Underground forums and stuff like that. They gave a few examples. One of the examples was just using it to see if someone could recreate malware strains and techniques, like previously known ones. Someone using it to do a Python-based information stealer, which just basically steals certain types of files on a system. And then to a Java code to download PuTTY and run it through PowerShell. I laugh because the line in that article says, they had it write Java code to download PuTTY and then covertly run it via PowerShell. And I was laughing because there's nothing covert about running something through PowerShell from Java. Ask any hunter out there and be like, I have a weird Java application that ran something through PowerShell. They're like, wow, that's real sneaky. No, that never came out of anyone's mouth ever.
Or that's likely benign.
That's likely benign. So I don't know. I don't even know. Why wouldn't the Java code just run PuTTY itself? I'm really not really sure. There's not a lot that goes over the details of this, just kind of showing the examples. And that someone, and the one they were just talking about, who said that this was their first ever script or tool or ever created or whatever, you'd used it to have the chatbot give them code for encrypting and decrypting data using Blowfish and Twofish. And then pointed out that while that is not necessarily a bad thing, it could be used to create a ransomware application, right? Sure. Automatically be deployed and stuff. I feel like this article, to me personally, and I've been talking a lot. If you guys want to chime in, I'll stop for a second, but otherwise,
you got 2 months worth, man.
Yeah,
I got 2 months worth to catch up. Y'all missed me, right? This article to me feels like 12-year-olds that want to be hackers bragging on a forum somewhere, someone reading this stuff and being like, look how this AI is getting used, and for example, I'm sure I could spend the rest of today messing with ChatGPT and come up with way better ways to exploit the system than these examples. You know what I mean? And the reality is, probably to get these running, you'd have to do something with it. I know one of the examples they said in the article was that someone said that they had, and this is the thing, is everybody's saying that they did things, but not necessarily whatever, said that they had used ChatGPT to create an entirely automated dark web marketplace for trading stolen bank account and payment card data, malware tools, drugs, ammunition, and various other illicit goods. Okay. I don't think that they probably did. That said,
I think that's hot BS, but the next comment's important.
Well, it says, to illustrate how to use ChatGPT for these purposes, the cyber criminal published a piece of code that uses third-party API to get up-to-date cryptocurrency prices. That in no way proves the previous statement to me. You know what I mean? This feels like someone is people are taking people's word a little too loosely here. Do I think you could probably get a lot of really important code chunks and stuff like that, or at least like pseudocode chunks that would get you really on the right track to doing different parts of creating a service like this or creating any of these tools? Absolutely. Do I think it's going to be really useful for both researchers and malicious actors? 100%. I do. I just don't think it's quite to the point where it's like, hey, write me a piece of ransomware, and then they grab it and then they send it to someone in an email, and all of a sudden that person's owned, which is, I feel like the article's trying to kind of play on that fear that we're at that level, and I don't think we are. I'm done talking now, sorry.
No,
I wouldn't disagree with that, man. I think that's it's always a thing with a new technology, right? Someone's going to fear monger, and someone is going to like maybe over amplify pieces of what could be evidence into something that's entirely misconstrued story. And I feel like that is the reality here. Just like you said, though, I think it is going to be useful for both the good guys and the bad guys, and not just the good guys and the bad guys. I mean, it can be very useful for our culture and society in general to be able to, like you said, have access to good information quickly and easily. I think that's a great thing. There will obviously be misuse. There's misuse of everything constantly, right? And so I don't think the paradigm is going to shift with this. But I think there are probably maybe other concerns, kind of like what he told us or she told us is, or they told us, which is, like maybe there's job displacement. So we'll see economic impacts. That's totally possible. I'm sure there are other things that could be a result of this. So,
yeah. And I think, go. I said I was done talking. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I was just saying, like, as far as overblowing like with the ransomware example we're at, I mean, a few years ago, Oscar and I were digging around in an investigation, and we found where, the actors had used built-in PowerShell commands essentially to do the ransomware. And a 5-minute Google search is going to set that up and show you how to do it. It's not complicated. So I don't think it was doing anything particularly insane there with that mechanism.
Right. I mean, and let's keep in mind too, at least in its current state, right? We are talking about data points that were collected. What was it? 2020? Is what you said?
2021. Yeah.
2021. So it's not like any new ways of getting around things that people don't already know about are going to be included in this generally. I mean, it could come up with a couple novel things, but it's not going to be entirely novel, likely. And the second thing is, and this is the big thing. When I read this, I just thought, people know that like Stack Overflow exists, right? Like, I don't need to use this. I mean, like, people have already been just Googling their questions and getting answers from Stack Overflow for a while now, and how to do all these different chunks of code and stuff. And I don't think we're like I don't think it's changed that much when it comes to this part of the functionality. I think ChatGPT is going to change a lot of things, but as far as malware code writing, I don't think we're at that level yet.
No, I agree. I think though that what it is going to change is like it'll decrease the research time, right? So it still takes time to dig through those Stack Overflow articles and find out which one is most relevant to your query. Whereas I think if you get really good at interacting with the AI model here, you could quickly get that information. So that's a benefit too, realistically, for learning opportunities. And heck, even like simple stuff, like you can play around with it and have it give you a bill of sale. Like how many times have we needed a bill of sale for something? Then I got to go like poke through the internet and try my best not to get that malicious PDF. And, we hate interacting with those bill of sale templates that are there, but like having a known true source was like, hey, give me a bill of sale template that's valid in the state of Kentucky. Boom, here you go. I'll print that out. Like, that's cool.
That's where it seems like one of my friends was telling me he used it. I can't remember what it was for, but he needed a form for something that he couldn't find a good example for, and he asked for it and just like, boom, had it. You know what I mean? Like, that's where it seems to be shining a lot. And
for sure. Yeah, we're playing around with things like that. Like, also, hey, give me a letter representation, like from a legal standpoint. I need this right away. Boom, here's your letter representation. Like, those things are super cool. Also, another thing I learned is you can give it like a context and it'll write medium dope rap songs for you. So that's kind of cool. Medium.
Medium. Yeah.
Yeah. So you should try that for fun.
It's got bars.
It's got bars. Yeah. So the other interesting piece about this, and one thing, like when I first seen the technology and started interacting with it, it's like, oh, is this company on the market? Because if so, I would invest in this technology today, right? So they're not publicly traded yet. So I started researching that, and I found out, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but Microsoft is essentially posturing to take over OpenAI. They've offered a $10 billion investment. And ultimately, that would result, if OpenAI takes the investment, in a 51% ownership of the technology by Microsoft. And so I don't know if they're going forward with the deal or not, but to me, again, going back to the Google killer, this plays in line with Microsoft posturing to be like, all right, let's get invested in this technology and let's really be a true competitor for Google, and also use the technology to embed in all of our other services, obviously. Yeah, Bing.
You think they're going to ask it to program better software for them?
Probably. I mean, that's
probably. Hey, here's our code base. Can you make this good? Can you make this not suck?
Hey, can you get OpenG or ChatGPT? Can you make it so that our browser is better than the other browsers? Finally, please.
Can you make everyone use Edge? Just make them use it.
Just make them do it. Yeah. So one interesting part about that too is I didn't know this was a thing, and you guys may have, but I was talking to a client yesterday, and they were talking about GitHub implementing some code checking. Right, you can drop your code in there; it tells you if it's got problems. Maybe that's part of what they're looking at it for. Things like that as well. But no, I do think if Microsoft takes it over, that does usher in the Skynet scenario. So I think we're kind of got to hope for the best there.
Yeah. Well, and certainly. On that note, GitHub just not that long ago introduced Copilot, right? Which was using OpenAI's other stuff or whatever to put in bits of code for you. You have to like pay for it or something. You have to have some, I don't know. But for GitHub, but you can basically like in your code editor, like in Microsoft Code or something like that, you can just be like, I want a chunk of code that does this, and it just pops it in for you. There's a bunch of stuff around it because it was stealing everybody else's code and then charging money for it. But
sure.
Breaking every single copyright law ever. Oh my goodness, sorry about that.
Did you get a call from a mortgage lender as well?
Yeah, I think I might
have. All right, cool. I think we beat this one pretty good. Hopefully that was informative for someone. I at least had fun talking about it.
Yeah.
Hey, Pink, you want to talk about the next thing?
Sure. Is it the really important thing that we were talking about?
I think so. Yeah. So we can get to the real important conversation.
Right. Yeah. So apparently, Five Guys, for anyone not familiar, really decent burgers, and I think Eric has some comments on their fries. So Five Guys had a breach, right? And it looks like some HR data was stolen, and they're talking about like the further implications of all that. And sure, that's important. All the security part of it's important. I think we really just wanted to talk about burgers, but on a on a security note for it, right? The one thing that popped into my head about this was just how many times do we talk to people that are just like, yeah, I don't have anything anybody wants to steal, right? Hey, we just make delicious burgers, and you can throw peanuts on our floor, that kind of thing. Here we go. Here's you only make burgers, but you obviously had something valuable for attackers. That was the one security point I wanted to make about it. Now let's talk about burgers.
Well, wait. Before we get to the burgers, do we know the point of ingress on this one? Was that disclosed?
I don't think they've said a whole lot about it, actually. From what I was looking, it's just sort of like, hey, this happened. They're calling it a smash and grab, which is great because of smash burgers.
Yeah.
But they're calling it a smash and grab. They hit a file server, stole some things. I didn't actually see how they got in. I'm not sure if you guys did.
Yeah. The point being, even if you think you don't have valuable data, you likely have data that'll be useful to an attacker. Also, you should have gave the title of that story a little bit more credit, man, because it said,
sorry.
Yeah, Five Guys data breach puts HR data under a heat lamp, which is pretty good. Although I will call it out, like Five Guys doesn't use heat lamps, man. They fry those fries up fresh and give them to you right out of the fryer.
That's true. Yeah, Maybe I subconsciously just filtered that out because I knew better.
Probably misleading news again. I think we've uncovered another misleading story, but yeah, how about them fries? They are real good.
Yeah, this article seems real spicy, like the delicious spice put on Cajun fries at Five Guys. I'm advertising them now because I want them to send me free food.
If we could get sponsored by Five Guys, I'd be all about that. I'll go on air and I'll admit that I've been trying really hard. I've been trying so hard at this in the last year to replicate the Five Guys smash burger. Yes, it is a smash burger. And also to replicate the Five Guys French fries, fresh cut French fries.
I have something to say on this topic. We're just going to derail this entire
it's gone. It's over. Yep.
Okay. Five Guys burgers are not considered to be smash burgers. Smash burgers are made by pressing a ball of ground beef onto a hot griddle or grill with a spatula, creating a thin, crispy crust on the exterior. Five Guys, on the other hand, uses a thicker patty that is not pressed down and forms a loose, irregular shape. The burgers are cooked on a griddle and not smashed. They are known for their simplicity, using only beef patty, lettuce, tomato, pickles, grilled onion, and mushrooms, ketchup, mustard, mayo, mayo, lettuce,
GPT, calm down, calm down.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is a ChatGPT answer. I can see it.
I don't know what Five Guys you've been going to, and yes, they do use a slightly bigger patty, not a ball. It is a patty, but they smash them patties. They smash them patties, son. I watched them do it.
Listen, ChatGPT just told me all that information, including all the information that was not relevant to the topic about the toppings you can get on a burger. So this is what I mean by it's really good at BSing, but not quite being exactly what you want.
Yeah.
Right, because it's totally wrong. Those are smash burgers.
I will say, I know we're product agnostic, right? But I think that only applies to security products. So if Five Guys is listening and wants to sponsor us, I think we would probably all be okay with that.
1,000%, honey pea. Yeah. I will give everybody the secret to the fries if you guys want them. You want the secret to the fries?
Yeah.
No, I like mystery in my life.
All right. Nobody gets the fry recipe then. So I tell you.
Go ahead. You tell everyone else.
All right. So you got to fresh slice those potatoes right before you're going to cook them, right? And so cook them to your desired, or cut them to your desired thickness. I prefer like a little bit more thinner, a little smaller fry, because you can get that better crisp on there. After you slice those fries, it's the key. Soak your fries in a bowl of water for like 30 minutes. And what that's going to do is extract the starch from the potatoes. And you're going to dump those fries, dry them out, pat them with a paper towel or whatever. Get your deep fryer going, get your oil to 325 degrees. And you're going to do the first fry at 325 for about 5 to 6 minutes. You don't want them to start turning golden yet. You just want them to cook at 325. Pull those fries out, let them sit again, crank that fire up to 375 or 400, anywhere in between there. Pop them back in again for a second fry until you get that beautiful golden crispness, and then you'll pull those fries out and you're going to be like, oh my God. Put the salt on them as soon as they come out of the fryer. That's very important. Or the Cajun spice like Eric mentioned, and you're going to have a Five Guys fry it's going to be just as good or better at home. So give that a spin. That's your homework, listeners. Make those homemade fries and then come back in a month and tell me how the recipe was. I think you're going to enjoy it.
Well, now I'm just hungry.
All right.
All right. So Microsoft patched a bunch of stuff in the new year.
They did. 98 patches to be exact.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, 11 critical look like. And I think the rest are all informational or important, not informational, but important.
Before we dig into that, John, I'm sorry, man. I had to go fast. That was ChatGPT taking over again. But I can see that a participant has enabled closed captioning. And so that recipe should be available in a transcript form for someone. Also, I didn't know our participants could enable closed captioning, but that's cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I didn't see that happened. I'm so confused.
Yeah, I got a notification. So I'm very confused as well.
That's great though. It'll also be on YouTube later, so you can always go back.
Oh yeah, there's
slow it down.
Yeah.
View full transcript. Oh, but I only have it from the moment where you said you had to go fast, and that. Okay.
I got the notification earlier. I'm not sure. Yeah. So you got any insight into those patches for the folks, Eric or Pink? Oh, there's a Privesk for ALPC, some Exchange stuff patched, Proxy Infinity, we can call that now, or not Proxy Infinity, whatever. It's lasting
maybe. I'm still confused on. There were so many vulnerabilities involved in Proxy Infinity. Proxy not Infinity shell. Sometimes the logon, whatever we're going to call it now. Mm-hmm. There were a bunch of those in there. It looked like that were Exchange related. I think 5 of them, 5 of the criticals were Exchange patches. So definitely a big deal to get that patched. I know we'll probably be talking a little bit about why that's a big deal to get those patched, but that was those were the big ones, and then 3 around SharePoint. I tend to think of SharePoint as being a little bit dead on-prem, but I would assume there's still probably quite a few people using it on-prem. So getting those patched. But yeah, there were some Privesks in there. I got really confused, honestly, reading through the Exchange patches. It was just entirely too many CVEs that linked together and were sort of related, but maybe not. But most of them were at least around the proxy not shell thing from last month, I guess it was. So fairly important there. I don't know, Eric, if you dug into any of them or not.
I think that was November, right, when that popped.
May have been November,
yeah. November. No, I haven't had a chance to dig in too much. I mean, I am always curious, or I guess concerned about, like the Windows ALPC, the advanced local procedure call exploit. It's a priv-esque on all Windows OS versions that can allow an attacker to escape a sandbox in a browser and gain system privileges. That concerns me on a few different levels, right? Sandbox escapes in general, it's like, great, we have sandboxes in place. Oh, we found a way out of them, and we found not only to be able to do that, but to do bad things with it. I'm hoping that they're fully aware of all the things and everything's good to go on that. You know what I mean? Because sometimes when we see some Microsoft patches come through and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, we didn't anticipate. And now it becomes this infinity problem, So that's one for me to kind of keep an eye on. But I got to dig into a lot more of these. But the reality is that there are, 5 Exchange, 3 SharePoint that allow some pretty nasty things.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'll just say this is almost becoming our monthly PSA right now. Yeah. There's a lot of patches this month, a lot of critical patches this month. I'd get on that.
Yep.
And maybe we talk about Rackspace for an example of why you get on that.
Can I hit one thing we had in chat really quick, super fast? It's just a question about apparently Defender deleted a bunch of Windows app shortcuts, some Defender rules. They were asking if it was stupidity or malicious insider. I'd have to dig into that more. I hadn't really looked into that, but my guess is probably more on the accident front. I know years ago, and I'd say you guys may have been doing IT at the same time, McAfee antivirus marked all Office documents as malicious a few years ago. It's probably been closer to 10 years ago now. And that was a really great day if you were in corporate IT. Some things like that happen. So I'd say it's probably more along the lines of that, just for Patrick, who asked in the chat.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, so talking about why you should patch Rackspace, I don't remember, but I think we touched on the Rackspace outage on the last show. Either here, we talked about an unsecurity one, but essentially Rackspace had an outage, was a ransom attack that started on December 2nd, continuing through until recently. And it was all their on-prem hosted Exchange environments, which I think they had like 30,000 customers, and they remain down through the holiday. They began to migrate folks onto the cloud environment, so O365 or M365, and they recently announced like, hey, we're sunsetting that service. We're not going to offer that service anymore. It's totally gone. Everybody has to migrate to the cloud. And there was 2 really interesting things. I'll touch on the smaller interesting point and then the larger interesting point. I don't know, maybe they're the same. But one, they were like, hey, only 30 people had data exfiltrated. And to me, that's a little questionable here. If you've had 30,000 systems that are down, you haven't been able to recover those systems. How did you actually properly forensicate those systems to know if or if not those mailboxes had been exfiltrated? So to me, that sounds very suspect. But the second thing is we learned that they didn't apply the patches that Microsoft have put out. They deployed the mitigating controls rather than the patches, and then essentially tried to point the blame at Microsoft, right? By saying, well, Microsoft didn't say that there could be an RCE associated with these vulnerabilities, so we didn't find the need essentially to patch the systems. We implemented the mitigating controls otherwise. And my jaw dropped when I read that, because it's like, we knew this. It's just another initiation or iteration of what we'd seen before with Hafnium and the original proxy logon exploits. Like, yeah, obviously there's going to be an RC. Obviously there's risk of gaining a foothold onto the system and further damaging the system. So to me, this just seemed completely absurd to hear that comment from Rackspace trying to defend their stance and how they got into the situation.
Yeah, it's not a great defense. And then just on the exfil, the exfiltration aspect of that, just from an IR perspective, if there was any admission of exfiltration, then I pretty much always assume there was a lot more, because they really only admit what is definitively proven, and a lot of times there's exfil that happens that's not easily proven, that kind of thing. So
yeah, only admit what you're accidentally proven to have happened.
Yep. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. The whole thing about them saying, well, like Microsoft didn't lay out this attack chain. I mean, I don't think it's great if Microsoft can lay out the attack chains that could come from different vulnerabilities, but you shouldn't rely on someone else piecing the puzzle together for you. I mean, I don't know, probably not accurate, but I'm just going to go ahead and say, like, every SSRF that involving Exchange has led to it being used to trigger an RCE that was found, right? Like, to have another SSRF and to be like, well, we didn't know it could chain to this other RCE. What? Why would you assume it wouldn't, though? You know, at this point, with all the different ones that have happened along the line, I just would never assume any of that. Now, I'm curious, because I'm not familiar with this one in particular, but I'm curious what the mitigation was that it didn't mitigate to the point that it could be used to trigger this RCE. Like, you think the mitigation would stop it from hopefully being able to be triggered at all. So triggering it in one way or another, you know, but yeah.
And I mean, like I was saying before, I'm kind of, I mean, even, you know, we're doing this all the time and digging through all the CVEs for Exchange over the last few months and which ones tie to which ones. It's fairly complicated. I get that, but I mean, I think even we mentioned when some of the not proxy shell or proxy not shell or whatever stuff was happening, that, you know, Microsoft was saying certain things like it requires authentication, but then you would see like some examples that showed that it didn't require authentication. I think there was a lot of confusion around a lot of those updates and a lot of those mitigations. And then the other thing too is, if you remember, a few months ago, they released mitigations and then proceeded to release 4 more sets of mitigations because the first ones didn't work or whatever else. So I have to kind of wonder if Rackspace did like the first 4 or something like that and left the other one off or something to that effect, you know, to cause that.
Yeah. And I know we've talked about that too, like even in notifications on here and stuff, like those things evolve. And when these things first break, these O days, there's still a lot of unknowns. And I think that the suppliers, the creators of these products, scramble as quickly as they can to try to put something out. But we rarely ever see that first pass that, hey, here's the proper mitigating controls, sticks for very long, because people are going to find workarounds to those controls.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're on Print Nightmare 150 or something now, right? I mean, with the print spooler. So
yeah. Sorry. I was going to say was also, like, just because touching on a kind of note you said of, it's confusing sometimes. They require authentication, they don't, but do they actually? Just in case there's anyone out there listening that this helps, I don't care if it ever says it requires authentication. Assume it doesn't, and even if it does, don't assume that that matters. Like, especially when we're talking about email, because that means that every single one of your employees can go ahead and hack you. I mean, because they have authentication, right? Or you're going to trust that everybody's password's solid, or that nobody gets compromised in any way, or or just trust that it's authenticated required at all.
Yeah, 100%. And that was my point to anybody I talked to about that one was, are you completely confident that you don't have a single compromised user in your entire email environment? Because I'm not. I mean, I'm not confident that you do. If you've got more than 2 users, there's a pretty good chance, you know, someone in there has been compromised. There's a password out there somewhere, something like that. So.
Yeah, I see there was a question in the chat really quick here, guys, from John. Says, so he's trying to mitigate CVE 2022-41099 for devices with WinRE. Hasn't figured out how to automate this yet. I know there are some scripts that are popping up online. I can't validate that those are good or bad. Check out Reddit sysadmin. Somebody put a very comprehensive script up essentially for how to automate that. That may be helpful to you. I don't know, but for everybody else, I think that is essentially a CV, so you can bypass BitLocker. So if you have physical access to a device, right, you can exploit that and actually gain access to the data, even if it has been BitLocker encrypted. So yeah, I would say, I think the CVSS on that's like a 4 something. It's not extremely high, but if you have fear of people gaining physical access to your devices or stolen devices, sure, that'd be something I would get right on. But I expect we'll see more remediation information for that here in the next couple of weeks. Cool. I don't know. You guys have anything else you want to talk about today, or we want to wrap it up a little early?
I mean, tasty burgers, we talked about that. I think that was top of my list.
We got to those last couple topics really fast. I was kind of trying to push us because I thought we were going to BS for a while more. Hey, I got a 3D printer.
Nice. Finally. I got a new fly rod.
No.
I also had a tree fall on my
Look at my cool octopus.
That is a
Oh,
very
that is
cool
a cool
octopus.
octopus.
Look
Yeah.
how wiggly he is. He just he's just hanging out. He's part of the crowd. Okay. I'm just wasting time now. Sorry about that.
I think Oscar was telling us about how he nearly died. So there's always
I had a tree fall on my office yesterday. That was super fun while I was in it. And I have a hole like right there that's like this big, and where a tree came down. I thought I was in a tornado, and went to jet out of the office. And before I get out of the office, a tree fell on my office. So, and Shane was on the call with me. He heard me cuss a whole lot because I was real scared. That's what you do. It was funny. I was actually on an internal call, and I'm like, something. Word I can't say right now. I was cussing. I gotta go, and I just threw my headset down, but I actually clicked mute before I ran away. And I started to run away. Then the tree fell, and I was kind of hunkered in the corner, and give me like 30 seconds or a minute to kind of really just calculate and understand what just happened. And so then I was like, I'm gonna hop on the call so they know I'm not dead. I'm like, hey guys, a tree just fell in my office. I have to go. So that was fun.
Pretty rowdy bunch of storms rolled through, and then I'm sure you guys have it too, but it's snowing down here today.
Yeah,
so
it's snowing. It's cold out today.
Yeah, 60 degrees and storms, and then snowing. But yeah, that's
yeah,
pretty much. Coral was a hey, I'm not dead.
It's always good to find out you're not dead. Any opportunity.
Yeah, I'll have to say, knowing the size of those trees next to your office too, because I was on a call with somebody else, another internal call, and you'd send them a message, and it was like, oh, a tree fell on his office. I was like, oh no, because those trees beside your office are so huge. I just figured the whole thing was gone.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised you were not crushed under a tree.
I was super lucky. It's the top half of the tree broke from the wind, and it kind of caught itself on another branch, and then the other side kind of landed on my office like that. And so I think the tree helped kind of soften the blow of the fall itself onto my office, or it probably would have been much worse and ruined my office. So all I had to do was patch a couple holes in the roof, and I'm working. And hey, it's like snowing and raining out today, and I haven't had any drips, so I think I did a pretty good job as a roof repairman.
Did you ask ChatGPT on how to repair a roof?
I should have. I didn't. Actually, I am ChatGPT, so I already knew. So.
Oh yeah. Sorry about that. I don't know if you saw in our side chat, but I did ask it how I can make fries exactly like Five Guys, and it basically told me the same thing you did. So I think it's confirmed. I think it's confirmed
that I am ChatGPT, or that my fry recipe is dope.
Well, the ChatGPT is you. Okay, let's be clear about the order of that. Yeah. That said, I didn't even know what happened with you in your office. I got a message from Tyler just being like, he's unexpectedly out of the office today.
Yeah. And I had a meeting with Tyler like right afterwards, and I'm like, probably not going to be on that meeting. Hey, Tyler, here's what's up, bro. If you don't mind, cancel my other meetings till I get back. But it
was funny. It's just like, me, I'm not really one to ask questions, so it's just like, okay, and just went about my day. And then Seth hit me up and was like talking about something for the meeting. I was like, oh, I don't think we're probably gonna have it. Oscar's out today, I guess. Have you not talked to him? And then he got a call from you right afterwards or something, and then he told me about the situation. So.
Yeah, it's funny. I thought I was gonna be out all day because I had to clear this tree from my office, and then like go find roofing and screws and stuff like that I needed to repair it. And so I was like, hit up all of my meetings. I was like, hey, I'm out today, guys. Sorry. But actually I sat down, and that meeting was supposed to be at like 2:30. It was like 2:35. I had everything done. I'm like, well, shoot, we could have done that meeting anyway. So I called him. He's like, nope, got another thing now. It's like, all right, dope. See ya.
I do have to comment on Shane in the chat though, saying that Flex Seal is all you need. Couple of comments there. One, it probably was a lot of damage. So, the joke works there.
Yeah.
But two, those commercials, I did in fact try to repair a boat one time with Flex Seal, and it does not work. At least did not work for me, and I went through a lot of Flex Seal on that boat, only to start out into the water and immediately start sinking. So, be careful with the Flex Seal on what you're going to use it for. Maybe don't do the screen door boat thing that he does.
Yeah, I did repair an above ground pool with Flex Seal, and it kind of worked. So
yeah, you had a lot more to that though. That was not
Yeah, it was-
just Flexi.
yeah,
That
it was part of
Welcome
the
to the
recipe.
Hackle Box, everybody.
Yep.
All right.
All right. Thanks everybody. As always, we appreciate you listening. Hopefully you guys had half as much fun as we had, because I had a really good time today.
Yeah.
But I'm a robot, so what do I know? I don't know a lot about fun as a robot, only what you humans have told me. If you guys have ideas, topics, things you'd like us to discuss, just shoot us an email. And otherwise, thanks for joining, and we'll see you guys again in a month.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Adios.
Can the bot wave? Does it know how to wave? It doesn't. I see. Oh, there you go. All right.
All right, see you guys.